And good day, everybody. Welcome to another edition of High Heat, presented by Liberty Mutual, as we talk to some managers across the way on this last day of April 2020. Here's our good buddy Don Mattingly of the Marlins. We say hello to one of the great hitters and one of the great first basemen you're ever going to see, and he joins us. Don, welcome. How are you today? Okay?
Doing okay, Chris. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. Watching all the old sporting events to keep me going. Two, I want to talk to you about right now. One, have you watched, what the heck, in the last, say, 7 weeks, Game 5, Yankees-Mariners, your last ball game you ever played? Have you watched that in the last 7 weeks?
I have definitely not watched all of it. My wife was switching through channels the other day, and that game was on. And she said, honey, you're on TV. And my little guy was in the room. He looked for about 4 seconds and then turned away. And then they showed that I was going to be coming up the next inning. I said, well, who's pitching? I said, if it's Randy Johnson, that at-bat's not going to go very well. It actually was. So I did watch that. But that's about it. That's one of those games that you don't really want to remember, to be quite honest with you. I know it was a great game. It was a great series. But it was a tough one, right, to live through.
And I'll tell you, you had a great offensive series, and you hit over 406 ribbies. You played really, really well. And obviously, with your back, you had issues. You must have felt pretty good going into that postseason there, Donnie, because you played like the old Donnie offensively in those 5 games. How about that for a second?
Well, you know what happened, Chris, during that season, probably the last month, and I don't know my numbers, but I started getting my feel back. I kind of went to a leg kick. I could never, once I really got hurt and had trouble kind of maintaining my back, I could never find that place. It didn't seem like it took me 2-3 years. And I kind of ran into a leg kick during that season late, and I went to it, and it felt unbelievable. And all of a sudden, I had a little bit of power back. I was driving the ball the other way. And I don't know what my numbers were the last month, but I kind of found a rhythm that last month, and we needed to win every day. And I kind of got hot along with a lot of our guys. So I was swinging the bat going into that postseason, and I always felt like if I'm swinging the bat good, I'm going to hit anybody. And I knew I was in good rhythm going into that postseason.
And you had a great season. I'll tell you something else. I've watched a lot of Larry Bird stuff, because obviously those 80 Celtics, and you, of course, from Indiana. You were a senior in high school the year that they played in the championship game. And I didn't realize it until you told me a little while ago that you almost went to Indiana State to play both sports. Tell us about that for a sec. Go ahead.
Yeah, I ended up signing a letter of intent to go to Indiana State. Bob Warren was the coach then there at the baseball team. And they were actually, I think they were 4th, 5th in the country the year before. Had Wally Johnson and some really good players there. I wasn't interested in basketball. I could tell as I got to my senior year, the better players around town. I was holding my own, but I wasn't a college level player. Definitely not where they were at that time. But I was definitely going to go play baseball there. And you know, sometimes you do things that you don't know why. I was getting recruited by Miami and Florida State, and I thought, why would I want to go all the way to Miami to play baseball? When I could go right down the road, which is kind of silly, right? Go to one of the best teams in the country in the best weather. But, I was an Indiana kid and really wasn't that interested in straying too far from home at that point.
And obviously following that great Indiana State team, too. All right, here we go now. Let's get a little update as far as you trying to keep in touch with your players. I'm sure you have. How are you keeping up with your roster here down in these last 7 weeks?
We've kind of met as a staff every Monday. Mike Hill set up. We have a talk every Monday, and then it kind of went to every other Monday. And then each group of coaches, each area, our pitching coach, our hitting coach, our bench coach, infield coach, conditioning and training, all those guys would kind of give an update. They were in touch with guys. Myself, I'd be texting every couple of weeks just to check in and make sure they were okay. Everybody was healthy, so I feel like we've stayed pretty connected without, this thing was going to extend a little bit. And the last thing, it's tough on players. We were about, I guess, 10, 12 days away from starting the season. Our guys were getting ready. And then they got to figure out the rhythm of trying to stay ready, but you can't hardly stay at that level for a month at home. So just trying to stay connected. I think we're starting to get more information now. We have a call actually this afternoon with the managers with MLB, our second one. It looks like they're, starting to get some ideas together. I know there's been a lot of them out there. But in general, I think they were just plans that they're working on and trying up on the whiteboard. We're going to look at this and look at that.
Right.
And trying to figure this thing out. But it seems like there's a little hope at the end of the tunnel right now with states opening up.
I agree. I think there is. And I'll tell you too, Don, I think you're going to see some experimentation this year. I don't have a problem with it. You want to go out there and put a guy at second base, top of the 10th inning, and move these games along. You want to put a pitch clock in. You want to play 7-inning doubleheaders. I don't care what you do. Universal DH. National League obviously doesn't have one. Whatever you do is okay with me. I'm sure you don't have an issue with, doing some different things here in a weird season anyway, correct?
Yeah, I think we have to be open-minded to a lot of differences this year. And you mentioned a number of them. I think anything that we can do, this game maybe look a little different. I don't think baseball will look that much different, but I do think that the rules that you're talking about, we have to be able to be willing to do some things different without all the changes for the history of the game, right? And there may be some things that we try that we actually like, right? And it may help the game. So you never know. So I think everyone will be open-minded to what we're trying to do this year. For me, it's going to be different. I mean, we've talked about no fans in the stands at first, but just content for people. And Chris, if I can at this moment, just to really send a little thank you for all the workers out there. And I know we talk about healthcare workers and what they're doing, but there's so many people in supply chains, people that are stocking grocery stores, delivering food, cooking food still, people that are working out. We're seeing the meat factories and the companies, all the trouble they're having. But there's a lot of heroes out there, a lot of cool stuff going on, right? You probably see it too. We see a lot of great stories. You see families out in their porches now and kids riding bikes together and things like that. It's hard to celebrate too much of that because of the tragedies, but there's been a lot of heroes out there. There's some really cool things going on. I just want to say thanks to all those people that are out there doing it.
Good job, Donnie. And when we get baseball back, we'll all watch. I agree with you about probably no fans, so we're going to need you guys to really be into it and television and everything else. And I'll go put on some old Mattingly games. What the heck? Maybe a game in Texas with all those home runs with Rizzuto on the call. We'll have some fun. Boys, good to talk to you. Stay healthy, Don. Appreciate it very much.
Chris, thank you. Good to talk to you.
You got it, Don Mattingly, on this little high heat presentation by Liberty Mutual. We will see you down the road. Good job today, of course, out of Moses and Mitch Green. Stay healthy.